Luka, you had an unbelievable season in Iowa last year and fit in well when you had time up here. Nas and Kat and Rudy are all back. Like, how do you just see your role here and fitting in and what the opportunity is here for you?
Yeah, I think for this year especially, I'm a be ready when the opportunity comes type of guy. I think I was able to do that last year, obviously through injuries and different things. I mean, especially in the 82 game season, 1 through 17, 18, whatever it is going to get an opportunity at some point. So it's being ready for that opportunity. So for me, it's just committed daily to improving myself and making sure that when that opportunity comes, I'm ready for it and I can help this team in whatever way I can. And so to come in for a night and or whatever, and just be able to help the team win and make it not as bad to be without the bigger guys that we have.
When you were working out this summer, is there a certain area that you were really focusing on just to make yourself as ready as possible for what they're going to call on for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I try to work on all parts of my game, but obviously, the defensive side of the ball has always been, more of the question marks surrounding my game. So that's always something I continue to address every single offseason. And I think there's many levels to that. Obviously, watching film and also exposing myself in situations where I'm guarding quicker players or whatever it is, playing ones where I'm only on defense. I've done a lot of different things, me and my dad, and also here with Joe Boylan and the player development staff. They did a really good job of kind of having a plan for me this summer. And then on the other side of it, working on my body. I think that's one of the biggest transitions I made this year. I was close to 11, 12% body fat at the beginning of the summer. I'm like 6.6 right now. So I've made quite a jump in that area. And that's allowed me to feel like I'm moving better, but keep some of the strength. And I've made, huge weight changes in the past where I felt like I lost muscle and fat, you know what I mean? And I just didn't feel as strong. And obviously my game is a lot of banging, a lot of moving guys. And so the strength is kind of necessary. So I think I did it in a much cleaner way, and I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life. So I feel really good right now, really confident going into this year. And for me, I continue to strive to learn and get as good as I can be. And being around Nas, Cat, and Rudy are three great examples of bigs who have done a lot in this game so far and will continue to do. And those are guys I can learn from every single day.
Luka, what did it mean to play internationally this summer, and how did that experience help you improve this summer?
Yeah, it meant the world to me. I think, number one, just the type of basketball it was, the intensity, the passion, every single possession, every single game was so refreshing. It was something that, it's hard to replicate that when people are playing for their country. It's awesome to be a part of, and I was able to experience that with my first cousin. He was on the team with me, Omar Elebegovic, and that was he's like a brother to me. Growing up, after every school year, we'd go over and see my whole family in Europe and be over there for 2-3 months, the whole summer really, and so I know how much that country means to my family. My grandmother still lives in the city, so being there and during training camp and being able to go see her and all of that, and also my late grandfather, who was kind of a legend in that area as a goalie for FK Sarajevo and a bunch of different teams. I know it meant a lot for me, but it meant a lot for my whole family, for me to be able to do that, because I know he'd be proud looking at his two grandsons wearing that jersey.
Significantly less important than all that related to the Bosnian team. But you were playing next to Nurkic
Yes.
a lot of times. So, I mean, kind of your first experience playing a lot of four.
For sure.
What was that like to play alongside another center?
Yeah, it was an adjustment. I definitely enjoyed it, though. It was different. I think for me, it gave me an advantage at the four when they put a smaller guy on me. I think I was able to have 25 rebounds in 5 games, or 25 offensive rebounds in 5 games in the competition. So it gave me quite an advantage on the glass when they put the bigger guy on Nurk. So I was able to get maneuver myself under the basket versus when switches were happening and all of that stuff. That allowed me to kind of have an impact on that end. Defensively, we did a lot of 1 through 4 switching. I felt really comfortable in that. Obviously, been working on that in my game, but I also did a little bit of high drop as well, depending on the team we were playing, or whatever the case may be. I think it's interesting. I think maybe it's the type of style of basketball it is, or whatever. I think it was different for me. I felt like I got less threes off because it was like every pick and pop, they're switching that, instead of like a guy being in a drop. So that was the only downside that I didn't love as much was I felt like I wasn't able to, get as many threes off. But I think, obviously I'd be in the corner more as a 4, so, there's more opportunities there. But just from the pick and roll standpoint, it was more like they'd switch them and I'd roll them down and try to get a post up, which, I definitely enjoy because, it allowed me to take advantage of, smaller defenders, and that's kind of where I did most of my damage. But I enjoyed it, also try to run the floor. Nurk's more of a kind of a delay kind of big where he won't run the rim so as much. So, I kind of took advantage of doing that as well. So it was a new experience. Like you said, I've never played the 4 in my life. I've never played alongside another, big like that. I'd play the 5 at Iowa with a bigger 4, but not vice versa. So it's definitely an experience. It's something I'd be willing to, continue to learn and improve in that area as a 4, just because I feel like I can shoot the ball well enough to be, a 4. But, I think naturally I'm more of a 5.
And then you talk about the body transformation and losing the weight, but just talking to some of the staff, you also when you change your body mass, it's kind of changing the ways in which you move, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the style you run or slide or
Yeah.
whatever. How did you kind of relearn your body as you lost the weight?
Yeah, it's definitely an adjustment. Like I said, in the past when I kind of lost a lot of muscle as well, it was a little bit harder of an adjustment. I feel like I'm still, I'm more efficient at this weight than I'm at, 248, but not as, kind of lean. So I feel like I'm almost as strong as I am there. But it definitely is an adjustment. But there's certain things that, I kind of learned to do that it can give me advantages. Obviously, I'm running the floor better at this weight. So, running the floor in general, you can create a mismatch just off that if the big doesn't want to run with me and they have to put a guard on me. And so that helps the whole team out, whether I go to the dunker and then we play off that or, I'm able to get an early post up. So I think, kind of just finding ways to kind of take advantage of, the way I'm moving, but also kind of the strength that I still have is something that, you kind of have to continue to adjust and adapt to. But, obviously I've been playing all summer, and so I've had a chance to do that a little bit, yeah.
You had said even before you lost the weight that you like a high wall defense.
Yes.
Obviously, the weight change and the body sculpting changes makes that even more advantageous for you in that type of defense?
Yes, I still think, and I think, the coaches think similar, that that's probably the best coverage for me, the one where I can really impact the game best on the defensive end is in a high wall. Obviously that requires a lot of rotating from the other guys and me as well, getting back to the big. But, I think I've tried to work and expose myself in a lot of the different coverages, whether it be high drop and also, switching. So, I think I've improved myself in all of those 3 areas. And I think I'm a guy that can be switched into different, coverages, more so than I was last year.
I mean, it's crazy. You're kind of molding yourself into a 4-5, and this team has a pair of 4-5s who
Yes.
started as centers and became 4-5s. I mean, is that something where you still think you'll probably, if you get minutes, it'll be at the 5 because of that?
Yeah, I still think, obviously, it's obviously in coach's hand, not mine, but I still think in general I'm looked at more as a 5. I think, showing this summer that I could play the 4 a little bit, could lead to more opportunities down there, but I think mostly I still will see my time mostly at the 5.
Do you think that some of your problems on defense were positioning and stuff like that more than just necessarily lack of strength? I mean, were you raw on defense as well as being slower?
Yeah, no, I definitely think, I think there's ways that you can, kind of maximize what you have, and that's what I'm trying to do. So becoming more of a, a smarter defender, more of a high IQ defender, watching a little bit more film, trying to take charges, using my hands better, things that I, especially the hands is definitely something that I've worked on a lot this summer is, it makes it easier if I'm able to, kind of deflect the ball or, change it in that way so it's not kind of downhill 2-on-1 at me in a drop. So I think there's a lot of things you can do to improve yourself on that end, and I'm really experimenting anything I can to try to help me in that way. I think obviously a lot of it does come from the lateral movement that I've had problems with the past, and obviously, at the rim, not being able to rise and really challenge guys at the highest levels. But there's always ways around it. There's always a way to make it work. You see guys like Jokic who, obviously people don't talk about it, but he really anchors their defense really well in the drop and different things, using his hands, positionally being better than, I've, been in the past. So I'm definitely working on anything I can to try to, help max myself.
And what was it that Joe Boylan basically instructed you to do aside from the weight stuff? What are your areas of focus?
He put me in a lot of different situations where I'd be exposed in that way. Whether it be, in our off-season workouts, it was a lot of, mimicking the things that happen in the game. The attacking me in pick and roll. Me being on defense for, an entire session of a workout. You know what I mean? Where I'm just in drop, or he switches the coverage from drop to switch to high wall or whatever, and and then breaking down film of what I did in Bosnia or just from last year as well. So I think he did a really good job in making, and he does a really good job in general for all of the players on the team on creating game-like situations within a workout session, and I think that's where you see the most improvement is when you're doing more game-like reps versus just like standing in the corner shooting 10 threes. So I think those situations, obviously with the guys that we have, if I'm covering Anthony Edwards off a pick and roll and a drop, there's no better person on planet Earth for me to be guarding to help improve myself than a guy like that. And then obviously, with the other younger guys we have, Wendell and all those guys who are at the same time they're working on their offense and their reads and their coverages in the pick and roll, I'm working on, myself and what I need to improve on. So he did a really good job of doing that this summer. And when I was away from here, I think in Bosnia, experimenting with the 1 through 4 switch and trying that and doing that in practice, having some success with that. And then, anytime I can, kind of searching out different situations to make me as uncomfortable as possible, and guarding guys are quicker, faster, in an effort to try to improve in that area.
I've seen a lot of photos this summer of you and Rudy working out, whether it be
Yeah.
at the facility or overseas. How has your relationship with him grown? And do you get the sense as he enters year 2 with still kind of a new team and a new group of guys that he's more comfortable here?
Absolutely. I think, it was really an amazing opportunity for me. He invited me to come out to Paris and work out with him for a week. That was right before I had training camp with the national team, so it really prepared me well. But first of all, just being around him, his daily routine, and how serious he takes it, his recovery, his nutrition, all of the different things he does, he's the best that I've ever been around in those areas. So it was really fun for me to experience that, as well as being on court with him, playing one-on-one, going through different moves, working with his trainer, Nandas, who does, a lot of different neural work and a lot of different, kind of an interesting style of training for basketball that I absolutely love. And, I think I saw, from when I seen him at the end of the year to, in July, I just saw him improve in so many strides, like his touch around the basket, his hooks, there's different things that he was working on. It was really, really cool to see in that way. And I definitely think he's now going to be a lot more comfortable coming in this year. Obviously he'd been in Utah his whole career, and this is kind of a different system in a little different ways, especially, on the defensive end and also on the offensive end. So I think a year of learning and growing with that, getting used to playing with another center or another 4 or 5 guys, an adjustment that, it's easier said than done. So I think a year of that under his belt is going to, serve him well. But, the guy works. He takes this serious. He every day he's doing something to help improve himself, his body, his game, all of that. And so it's fun to be around.
Did you convince him to start letting it fly a little bit from 3?
Yeah, I saw a little bit of that too. It's really interesting how good of a shooter he really kind of is, and the touch that he has, and he has been working on it. I think I don't know how that's going to come into the fold because of just how the presence he has around the rim offensively. Not only just him scoring, but just the weight that he kind of takes. That creates shots for other people. But we'll see if he, that's more of a coach question, than me. But I've seen him make them. I've seen him make them consistently in workouts and stuff like that. It's a whole different thing, obviously adding that in game. But obviously we saw in France he looked comfortable and his shot looked fluid. And if he can continue to work on the consistency of the form and all of that kind of stuff and the being comfortable shooting them, obviously that's something down the line that, if he continues to work at, that's the one thing. If the guy's working on it and he's consistently working on it and it's going in and he starts making them, it's nothing, you can say. If he makes them, everyone's going to want him to shoot them if he's making them. Yeah.